guys, what's up? Well, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. I am Shay. If you're here for the first time, nice to meet you. And welcome back to another eye swatching video. If you're new to this video series, this is where I swatch eyeshadow palettes or makeup collections on my face and on my eyes. That way we can see how every single color applies, what they all look like actually on the eyes. It's just freaking fun. Honestly, it's something different than hand swatches and I really enjoy doing it. And I think you guys really enjoy it too. So just thank you to everyone who watches these videos. I hope you're enjoying them. And you guys have all been asking me to experiment and try different brands, different companies, different palettes, instead of just what I started this series out with doing, which was ColourPop palettes. I don't mean to do so much ColourPop, but you guys know ColourPop. Like, they literally shit out a palette like every 5 minutes, and they are my most requested videos. So I always do that, but in these little lulls where there's not a ColourPop collection, I'm trying right now to start filling that time with a bunch of different other palettes as well. Earlier this week, we did the Pat McGrath Mothership Rose Decadence palette, which, can I just say, Pat McGrath said I was gorge. Yep, she did. On Twitter. If you don't believe me, go look. So I do have eye swatches up of this palette already. If you missed it, I will link it down below. But enough of that. Let's get to today's palette. We are going to be doing eye swatches of the Patrick Starrr One Size Visionary Eyeshadow Palette. I bought this myself from Sephora. I know this isn't super new, but I thought maybe some of you guys might still be interested in eye swatches. I've never tried anything from Patrick Starr's brand. Interesting palette design. I did watch Patrick's launch video where he kind of shared the collection, and he shared that he specifically designed this for anybody who wears really long nails. And when I do have my acrylics on, I haven't been wearing them lately because, like, what is life? But acrylic nails do get in the way of, like, freaking everything, right? So I actually, when I first saw this palette, I was like, oh my god, I hate that so much. And then I heard his explanation for why he designed it that way. Also, it's kind of to match his logo. There's always like a cross or a slant. Then I was like, okay, I totally understand that. It kind of is nice to have this lip here that you can pull up and just easily open it. This palette has a giant mirror in there, and then these are the shades here. I wasn't gonna buy this palette. I'll be honest. I was not super interested in this. I love neutral shades. Oh my god, I love neutral shades. And this has a lot of beautiful neutral shades, but none of them looked like anything I don't have in another palette. I mean, just to be honest, I don't see one shade in this palette that looks super unique. This row right here is like what I'm most excited about. However, when I was watching his video, he did describe that he wants his palette to be kind of like the baseline of his makeup line. So yeah, it's not super wow, super loud right now, but I think he's setting himself up for more to come, you know, bigger, brighter, funner stuff to come. Like he said, he wants it to be his baseline, maybe just his general, like, you know, good to go palette. And I think that's a nice way to start out too. I wish there was a little more. I wish maybe he would have came out with 2 palettes. I don't know, one that was kind of more wow, and then this one as well. And I have to say, I understand his explanation, but I hate the royal blue in here. I mean, a few years ago, it was always the joke that palettes that were coming out, it was always like just a bunch of kind of dull shades, and then there was always boing, like this standard like royal blue or cobalt blue in the palette to kind of give it a wow factor, because if you remove that, it's like not much, right? Anyway, so those are just my first thoughts on it. The first shade up is Manila Sands. Manila clams? Is that like in Animal Crossing? Is that what they're called? The Manila clams that you make your fish bait from? Where is that fall update though? Okay? Who's texting me? Oh, it's Steph! Miss Babs Beauty here on YouTube. She is the sweetest little angel. So beautiful. I love her. I love her. I love you. Oh my god, if she sees this, I'll be so embarrassed. Taking this with my Sigma E50 brush. Just a nice light creamy shade, you know, 100% standard light matte creamy shade. So there is this shade, Manila Sands. So I'm gonna go in the order that Patrick swatched in his video, because originally I looked at them across and I was like, oh, interesting. And then when he was doing his hand swatches, he went down like column by column. So we'll go that way. This is called Title Holder. And I did love every little detail about why he named shades certain, you know, names. For example, Title Holder. He is a title holder from his drag days. So I think that's sweet. And this is just a light gold. We're first starting off with a dry brush, as we often do for shimmers, and then we'll go in with a wet brush, because the magic usually comes from a wet brush with shimmer shades and metallics and whatnot. So there is Title Holder applied dry. Not super excited about that one, but let's wet the brush because that does change it oftentimes. Okay, now going in with a wet brush, and obviously it's It's definitely better this way than with the dry brush, depending on what look you're going for, I guess. It's a little gritty to me though. I think the texture's a little off on this metallic. There's almost like it has the texture of a metallic shadow, but the shine isn't quite there. It's a little dull, and like as you can see, it makes my eyelids look like super liney. It's just really gritty, honestly. I don't love that texture, so I do hope the other ones go a little bit better, and maybe this one is just, I don't know why it would do that, but I'm hoping the other ones are a little bit better. So there is title holder. Okay, real quick, something came up yesterday and I had to stop filming the video, so I am carrying on today. Yes, I put on the same shirt and jewelry because I don't know, I was trying to keep it cohesive, but then what's the point of me even telling you it's a new day? I don't know. Anyway, I digest. Let's keep going. The next shade is called Mango. This, just from looking at it, it kind of reminds me of that old Makeup Geek shadow. What was it? Creamsicle, I think it was called. Not saying it looks the exact same, but it's just what I thought of when I first saw it. And I'm applying this with my E50 large fluff brush. Looks to be a fully matte shadow, and it's a beautiful transition color, especially right, I mean, honestly, any time of year, everybody looks good with a little warmth in their transition, but especially fall time, I think it just looks really sweet. Yeah, gorgeous, pigmented, nice. That is the shade Mango. I love puns. I think this shade name is so cute. This next one is called Taupe of My Game. Same Sigma Beauty E50 brush. I tell you guys all the time, it is a great brush if you're just, you know, using matte shades and you want to get it on real quick. Like, boom. Say you're going out, you need a really quick smoky eye. Take this big ass brush. You can even use it to blend because it's so fluffy and it's fantastic. But oh, this shade is interesting because I thought it was just straight matte, but on my eye it looks like there's a little sheen to it. I can't tell. I think it's meant to be a matte. I don't know why it looks a little sheeny in my crease there. Perhaps I had a little too much concealer on. I'm not sure, you guys. But it's a beautiful shade. So there is the shade Taupe of My Game. The next shade is Soft Serve, and it has this cute little emoji on it, the little Patrick Star emoji. Popping that on. Oh, it is gorgeous. It's actually a lot richer than I thought it was going to be, which is stupid because it obviously is a rich shade in the pan. But I was just slightly nervous after the Taupe of My Game shade that they were all going to be somewhat, I don't want to say sheer, but a little lackluster for me. But this one does have a nice amount of color to it, so I really like that. Oh yeah, that is a beautiful formula. I took a little too much on my brush because I thought the taupe shade was just slightly too light. I was hoping it'd be just a little richer, but then I get to this shade and it's like, boom, slow down, honey. This is the Sigma E27 blending brush, the E27, one of their new blending brushes. Oh, I love this color. You know I do. I love a warm brown. I'm a sucker for them. I can't lie to you guys. And I would say this is possibly Suede Charm still coming up, but this one's probably the most puppyish brown in the palette, and I'm a sucker for those. So there is Soft Serve. The next shade is called Booked. This looks yummy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it is so rich and beautiful. It's not a blow your skirt up moment. We've seen these browns before. I'm definitely not trying to say, you know, like, this is so amazing and so unique, because it's not, but I appreciate beautiful color. Even if we have seen it before, you know, it is what it is. I am just happy after purchasing this that there are shades in this palette that I'll definitely use quite a bit. Let's give her a little blend out. And they blend really nicely too, you guys. It's a really easy shadow to work with, so I'm happy about that as well. It got a little darker in my crease, and that'll happen from time to time. It could have been my fault, where maybe I didn't set my base quite enough. I just obviously wanted to bring that to your guys' attention. Possibly with this formula, you're just going to want to make sure that whatever base you lay down to do your look with is set nicely with a translucent powder or, you know, a creamy shade of some sort that's close to your skin tone. Like, really make sure you lock in that moisture, because the moisture can definitely create that band, and it happens fairly often. So I've tried to not make that such a big deal anymore. It's weird because I feel like years ago it's something I had never noticed, and I'd say within the past 2-3 years I've noticed this situation happening more with shadows. And so maybe it's a change in formulas. The more we advance in, you know, makeup science and creating formulas, but I've noticed as long as I set my base really well, this tends to not happen so much, so I wouldn't pay so much attention to that. But yeah, there is the shade Booked. Moving right on, we are getting into the shade Brownie. This is the darkest brown of the palette. I would like literally die for a brownie. I've been eating nothing but like cucumber and celery, and I want to die. I think when I was watching Patrick's video, he said this is a really neutral dark brown. Was it this shade? I don't remember what shade he said. So smoky. I love it. I love a smoky brown. Yeah, it is a really nice neutral. It's not too cool, not too warm. Ugh, I can't wait. I'm so excited that it's like, fall's pretty much here, let's be honest. And my favorite thing in the world is just all over super dark smoky eyes. So I feel like it's almost my time to shine. Somebody needs to come cut me off because I just keep going. I just love dark smokiness. So yeah, it's a great little neutral smoky brown. Nothing much more to say. So there is the shade Brownie. Finally, we're getting into some sexy little shimmers here. This next shade is called Everything, and Patrick Starrr loved this color in his video. He said it looks good on everybody. And just standard application for us. We're going to first start with a dry brush and see how it looks that way, and then we'll go in with a wet brush, or damp, not really wet. Beautiful rosy tone. Looks like a nice amount of shimmer. I am excited to see this one with a damp brush. That is very, very pretty. Okay, let's wet the brush. I can't wait any longer. Oh yeah, that just, makes it more satiny, more silky. And I do feel like it actually warms it up a little bit. I see a few more little coppery tones coming out once we use a wet brush, which is interesting. It is beautiful. It really, really is. I 100% agree with Patrick. I think this type of shade, it just looks good on everyone because it's so beautiful. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So there is the shade Everything. Ooh, another beautiful shimmer. This is called Walnut Strut. Walnut Strut. Wow. Oh, I freaking love this color. I'm so obsessed with these colors. I hate to be so basic, and I love bright colors as well, but like there's something so just yummy and sexy and warm and just delicious about these types of kind of goldy. I guess walnut is the perfect description, like a walnut little shimmer. It looks so good on everybody. Like, oh. And this formula is so soft and it just goes on so nicely. This is with a dry brush here, people. Look at this. I actually prefer this to the last shade we did, the shade Everything. This is everything to me. Like, this I love. So that is it with a dry brush. Let's wet the brush now. Oh my goodness gracious. It's so gorgeous. This is like my favorite formula of the shimmers in this palette. I mean, I don't know if it's a differing formula, but it certainly is less chunky than the shade Everything was, or that first gold we did that I really wasn't a fan of. This is everything to me. I love this. Call me basic, fine. It's delicious though. So there is the shade Walnut Strut. All right, second to the last row. We're now going into the shade Suede Charm. Ooh. Ooh, I love this brown so much because it's kind of mustardy. It is a beautiful, beautiful color, and it's not a standard brown we see in most palettes, so it's definitely nice. Like, I wasn't thrilled when I saw this palette in person. I was just kind of like, ugh. And we'll talk more about that during my final thoughts, but I am happy throughout this palette. There are a few shades at least where I've been like, ooh, that's nice. So it is gorgeous though. Sorry, I feel like something in my eye. These videos are hard, you guys. I love this all over the lid. I'd love it as a transition. It's just a beautiful, beautiful color. For some reason, I feel like there was a shade in one of the Jaclyn Vault palettes that I think was supposed to be close to this one. I could be wrong, but the minute I started really applying this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like exactly what I wanted one of those shades to be. It just quite didn't add up, but this is freaking gorgeous. Probably one of my favorite browns of this palette. So there is the shade Suede Charm. The next shade is called Olive It, and I freaking love olive, so I'm really excited about this one. This whole row, like this is definitely a me row, and this is my Sigma E60 large shader brush. Oh, she's so gorgeous. My goodness gracious. I think I'm having a bit of a blow your skirt up moment here, ladies and gents. Woo! Oh my god, it is so beautiful. That is it with a dry brush. I love it. Let's wet the brush now. Oh, and that just makes it so soft and again silky, and it just gives it just such a nice finish. It is a beautiful, beautiful green. Oh, I can't stop. I want to like keep putting more of it on. I really, really like this color. And the more you put on, just it gets better and better and better. It is so freaking pretty. This is definitely one of my favorites of the entire palette so far. It's something a little more unique. We don't see a lot of these greens in a lot of palettes, especially in a lot of neutral palettes. So that makes me really, really happy. It's gorgeous. There is the shade Olive It. The next shade is called Matcha. I am equally as excited for this one. It's kind of like my shirt a little bit. No, it's really not, but I love green. I don't love matcha though. I've tried to get in on this matcha bandwagon. I can't do it. I am a black, unsweetened tea kind of girl. I like it as black as it comes, iced with loads of lemon, and like that's it. I can't get on this matcha train. I've tried, I can't do it. I'm not cool enough. Oh, It is a beautiful green though. Wowza. I'm gonna love this through fall all the way into holiday. Like listen, forest green and olive greens, they're not just for fall. Like they look amazing through the winter time as well. It's such a beautiful color. My goodness gracious. I can't stop. I love it. I absolutely love it. It'll look so beautiful with this entire row here. Oh my god, this in the transition, this in your, you know, outer V, that on the lid, beautiful, or just those two mixed together. I mean, you can do it any way you want. It's gonna look gorgeous if you love your greens. So there is the shade Matcha. The next shade in this palette is called Turban Legend, and this is the black shade. And you guys know I'm pretty stoked about that because I love black eyeshadow in my palettes. I always love a little black, and I feel like a lot of times there isn't one. A lot of brands tend to just go with a super dark brown because, you know, most people aren't extremely comfortable with black eyeshadow. So I don't know, I get really excited when there's a black shadow in a palette, but it all depends on the black. Is this going to be black enough for me? We will see. I love that it's a matte and it's not like a sequin formula. That's another thing I notice brands doing with a lot of blacks is they're putting the little sparkles in it, and I'm like, no, I just want black like my soul. It's very, very pigmented though, and not a lot of fallout, which is so great when working with such dark colors. They can become quite messy really fast if they're a little too powdery, so I like that it's a very clean application. Oh, it's a fantastic black. It is super, super dark. Exactly what I would want. Super easy, super simple, nothing wow, but I so appreciate a black eyeshadow. So there is the shade Turban Legend. All right, second to the last shade. This is Blue Mondo. Is that it? Blue Mondio? Blue Mondo? Blue Mondo? Is that it? This is the only sequin formula in this palette, and what that means is it has the tiny little sparkles in it. It's technically a matte shadow, but there's little tiny sparkles that make it not quite so matte. I'm happy there was only one in the palette, but I don't know. I go back and forth with how I feel about this type of formula. I like it if there's a good amount of sparkles in it, but when there's only just a few, I don't see the point. Like so far right now, I don't even see the sparkles. I barely see them in the pan, so I'm not sure why they didn't just do a matte blue. I mean, just a matte blue would have been fine. It's a gorgeous blue, absolutely breathtaking, super, super pigmented, very opaque. I mean, it's just lovely. But the tiny little sparkles that are barely showing up right now, I don't know. I'm not super wowed by that. I feel like if you're gonna do a sequin formula, like you need to really bring it. Like give us those sparkles. This blue is also slightly patchy. I'm having a hard time getting it to stick in certain areas. You can probably see on my lid there. So it's not my favorite blue. I'm gonna take my finger to try to pick up some of those sparkles. This is typically the best way to use a sequin formula shadow, is to kind of pat them on yourself afterwards. But even then, it's literally not worth it. You will not end up seeing any sparkle at all. So this shadow, not necessarily the color, but the formula was so pointless to me. Like either bring the sparkles or don't bring them at all. What's the point of having a half sparkly shade? And it's also not the best blue either. And I don't love, we talked about this in the beginning of the video, I don't love these kind of somewhat lackluster palettes that just stick that generic cobalt blue in there to make it a little more wow and a little more eye-catching. But let's be honest, it's not the most used shade by most of us. So it's always a little when you see a cobalt blue, in my opinion. But yeah, there is Blue Mondo. Let me know what you guys think. And the very last shade is Rebel Gray. And this looks really pretty because I can't quite tell if it's a blue, is it a lavender, is it more of a steely color? Like it's kind of in between, so I'm excited to see this one on the eye. Very pretty. I mean, I think it definitely has hints of both, especially depending on what base you like use it with. You could probably get it to drift either way. So that's really fun. I love a shade that can be, you know, manipulated somewhat to kind of fit what you're looking for. And very pigmented. Beautiful. So there it is with a dry brush. Let's wet the brush now. Now we're going in with a wet brush. Yeah, and that just gave it more of a chromey effect. Makes it look a little smoother, less chunky. It's actually really pretty. This was probably the shade in the whole palette that I was least excited for. But in person, it's actually really gorgeous. It's a really pretty color. So there is the shade Rebel Gray. That is it for our eye swatches, you guys. I'm really curious to hear what you think. Real quick, my final thoughts. It's a really nice palette, easy to work with, really pretty shades. Is it a real wow palette? No. And me personally, I really did expect Patrick to kind of come out of the gate swinging with, I mean, it's Patrick Starrr, hello, with his first collection, so I thought it was a little weird to open the collection with makeup removers, and then the palette that we finally get to see, it's a fine palette. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. You can create beautiful looks with this palette, and it's a really easy palette to just leave on your desk to use for any event. I mean, in Patrick's own video, he showed all those photos where he had worn this palette to so many like super big, beautiful events. So you know it's a palette you can rely on and you can, you know, use it easily for anything. And like he said in his video, he did create this to be the baseline for his collection. So I'm really hoping he does not disappoint us with his next launch, because for me, it was a bit of a soft launch. It's not a palette I would necessarily run out and get because I can probably find most of these colors in my collection. Am I happy to have it? Yeah. And actually, this is a palette I think I will leave on my desk just to use easily. Don't have to think about it. I won't have to sift through my 1,000 ColourPop palettes to try and find a perfect neutral palette. You know what I mean? This is a pretty good standard palette just to have on your desk. So it just depends on what you're looking for, bottom line. If you do purchase it, if you're interested in these colors, I think you'll be more than satisfied. If you're looking for a bit more of a wow moment, this one's probably not it for you. So that's really my final thoughts, you guys. It is a good palette. I'm just excited to see what he brings out next. I want some real wow moments. I mean, this is Patrick freaking Starrr. His makeup is flawless. It's always beautiful. It is almost always colorful. Like, gosh, he's a wonderful artist. And I want more. I do want more. I'm left feeling a little just like, like I want more, you know what I mean? But I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing that I want more, you know? It'd be one thing if I was like, no more, this sucks, I'm not interested, but it did leave me wanting more. So hey, you know what? Maybe he does know what he's doing and I'm a big fat idiot. So those are my final thoughts, you guys. Thank you for being here. I know it was a long as fuck video, so I appreciate everyone who hung in there. And one final thing I want to say, please let's make sure we are registering to vote. I'm sure you're so sick of hearing this, but oh my god, it is so important right now. So I will leave information down below for you guys to check out if you want to figure out how you can do that. It's really, really easy. You can just literally print off a piece of paper, fill it out, and mail it in. It is so simple. Just like you're paying the electric bill, you know? Just send it out. Let's get this done. This is so crucial. So crucial. So thank you guys for watching. I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!